We're going back to the 60s again. We're blowing in the wind.
It's all purple.
That's right. How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Beautiful.
So how many of us have our own color purple? Whether it had the ending that we thought or not. No matter what we're going through in our lives right now, and I love this message of let go and let God, because it doesn't matter if you're going through something that is so tough that you don't know how you can possibly get through it. Or whether you're working on a goal so big that you don't know how you can possibly achieve it. Either way, the mechanics and the dynamics are the same. When I have done all that I can do, and I can't think of anything, if I was to do anything else, what else could I do? Nothing. That's where we can take a step back and say, okay, God, I've done my part, and now I give it to you to do your part. There's so many different parts of that story that just kind of trip me out, but you know, when she talks about getting to that point that she could really be okay with it, even though somebody else was getting what she wanted. How many of us have been there? That somebody else was getting this thing, and it was coming really easy for them, and we were just struggling with it, and it wasn't happening. Or we were working towards this goal, and somebody else from our perception was working 10% as hard as we were working. But my goodness, it was just sunshine and rainbows for them. And it's so easy in that point to say, God, was I bad? Do you like this person more? Did you overlook me? I'm right here. And that's the part of the story where it's sometimes the unanswered prayers are the greatest prayers. Once upon a time, I lived in Los Angeles, and I had this girlfriend that I was absolutely smitten with. And it was coming up on Valentine's Day. It was like a couple days, maybe a week or two away for Valentine's Day. And I was making my Valentine's Day plans, and this was over the top. I was renting a limo that was going to take us to LAX and have dinner in that little domed looking thing, and chartered a helicopter to fly through the buildings of Los Angeles, and all these things, and it was hooked up. It was movie star hooked up. And I called the girl just to make sure she wasn't afraid of flying. And the girl told me, I said, you know, what do you got going on Valentine's Day weekend? And we'd only been together like a couple months or something. And she said, I said, well, first, are you afraid of flying? She said, no, I love to fly, blah, blah, blah. I said, great, gotta let you go. And she said, why? I said, well, I'm just kind of planning something. I don't know, maybe, you know, you got any plans a couple weeks from now, Valentine's Day? And she said, yeah, I'm going to Las Vegas with Pierce Brosnan. And I said, you're what?
Sorry, Scott.
You're what? And she said, yeah, I'm going to Las Vegas with Pierce Brosnan, and I'm so excited, and blah, 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 blah. And I hung up the phone, and I thought, now how the heck do I compete with that?
Helicopter, man.
That's Pierce Brosnan. I thought I was a big shot dude at the limo and the helicopter. She's going with Pierce Brosnan. And unlike Oprah, I didn't have that sensibility of let me see what I can do and how I can learn through this and go God. I thought, that dude recently got married. I saw it in a tabloid. Now, I know some people who know this dude, and they know his wife, and I called him up and I got his home number. And I called him up and I gave him an earful about why the heck was he going to Las Vegas with my best gal. And he thought I was about a crazy man. And he didn't have much time for talking to me, and I thought it's because his new wife was in the background and she might overhear the conversation. Well, the next day at work, I was just sick. I mean, my guts were just torn up, just sick. So I go home, having a sick day, and I lay on the couch feeling sorry for myself, and I turn on the TV, The World Is Not Enough, starring Pierce Brosnan. 007 Marathon, Pierce Brosnan. Every channel, it seemed, was running a Pierce Brosnan something, and I was hot. Oh, it's just growly. And my friends had no love for me. They were just, so the world is not enough for you, huh, Scott? Shut up. So anyway, I'm laying there in my couch, and I'm watching this TV, and I said, you know what? If it's not meant to be, then it's just not meant to be. And if I can't compete with this dude, then I shouldn't have to compete with this dude. And I should be able to watch this movie. The guy is a darn good actor. And from what I understand from all my friends who know him, because LA is really kind of a small town, even though it's big, they all say he's a real quality guy. And even though his actions don't look very quality to me right now, God, I need to get bigger than this. I need to get past this. I need to not have this affect me in this way. Even though the outcome I wanted was this, the outcome that you saw for me was that. And I couldn't have that if this would have worked out the way I wanted it to. And when I reached that level of peace inside, the girl, her name was Bridget, called me up and said, well, we're going to Vegas tomorrow, I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, happy for you. And she said, me too. She said, this is a big, big deal. The magazine I work with, he's going to shoot the cover, and so I'm going out there for work, and it's my first gig as getting to do the cover of the magazine, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm so excited that my company put all this trust in me, and that this gentleman was willing to work with me, an unknown, for the magazine, and what a great guy, and he's bringing his wife, and they're going to have a great time, and they're going to do these Valentine's Day things, and I really wish I could be there for Valentine's Day with you. And I went, oh shoot. You're about to jump on dude's private jet and spend about 45 minutes in the air with him over talking about this crazy dude who called him up in the middle of the night and yelling and screaming at him about how dare you go with this girl, and aren't you happily married, and what about this new wife I saw in the Inquirer, and I just, oh boy, talk about needing a whole lot of salt for a foot. But the point is that we've all had hundreds of things that didn't turn out the way we wanted them to. And that doesn't mean that we failed. It doesn't mean that God doesn't love us, and it doesn't mean that the laws of the universe that we strive to understand and the principles that we strive to live by don't work. It simply means that God had a bigger dream for us than we had in that moment. There were so many things that each one of us have had. There was something we were reaching for or something we were trying to hold on to with all our might. Either way, that didn't work out the way that we had planned. Hindsight's always 20/20, and in almost every case in the past, once it changes from the windshield to the rearview mirror, suddenly God's plan starts to unfold. While we're looking at it through the windshield, we go, oh my gosh, how is this even possible? I know the direction, I know what I want, I know what I'm trying, I've done all the steps that I can do, I can't do anything else. It's at that moment that we release, that we take our hands off the steering wheel of our life. And we ask Spirit, we ask God to take hold of that wheel and drive for us. When I first heard that message as a young man about take your hands off the steering wheel of your life and give that control over to God, it didn't come with a disclaimer, and the disclaimer was, sometimes God drives really fast. Like really, really fast. And at the time in my life that I first heard that, I was trying to go from A to B to C to D with this plan that I had worked up of where I was trying to get to in my life. And I heard that and I said, well, looking at my driving record of my life, my car's mighty dented up from swerving all over the road and hitting every obstacle I could find, so even just sheer luck would keep my car probably in as good shape as I was doing at the time, and not my car physically, but the metaphor of my life. Yeah, I could probably coast and do this well, so I'll turn it over to you, God. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can make out of this. And when I took my hands off the wheel, not only did the wheel start to move, but the accelerator went down fast. And all of a sudden, about, I'd say probably 4 to 5 years worth of my plan happened inside about 3 months. And that was when I realized that I was slowing me down by trying to do it in the way that I thought had to be done, as opposed to finding that place of release and surrender and giving that power over to God and allowing it just goes really, really fast. So I encourage you this week, as you look into your life and you look at the things that you're trying to hold on to with all your might that are slipping away, and the things that you're reaching towards and you don't know how you're going to get there, look at the steps that you can do. Look at what you feel guided to do in both sides of those situations and everywhere in between. Think about that color purple. Think about these stories. Think about your past and your life, that it's always been okay. It's always worked itself out. And oftentimes, because God's dream for us is bigger than our dream for ourselves, what we get is a lot of times so much better than we could have dreamed for ourselves. I wish the same for each of you. Amen.
So each week we do a meditation so that as we change our inside world, our outside world starts to reflect. So this morning, as you get comfortable in your chairs and close your eyes and go inside, getting in touch with your energy, your space, and who you are, and where you're striving to go. So this morning we're going to take that metaphor of the car and driving down the road. Imagine yourself in the driver's seat, driving down your pathway of life, down those roads that you travel, in all different directions, different areas of your life. In the past, what does that road look like as you took control of the wheel? What obstacles have you run into? What kind of road are you driving down? So for a minute, just imagine that roadway that you've been on. When you get to the point where you feel like you've done everything that you know how to do, step back for a minute and change seats. Imagine God taking over the steering wheel, taking control of the car and driving. How does your path change? And where do you feel your direction go then? Feeling God's energy in the car with you. And feel your life reflect that in this roadway that you travel on. How does it feel? Is it something you'd like to do more often? We all have things that we struggle with on a daily basis. This week, taking your prayer, taking the thing that you've been working on into that sacred space where you like to go and communicate with God. That's a place in nature, your own temple, a room. Sometimes I even like to use a boardroom. Wherever you want to go, feel yourself connect with that place that's most comfortable for you, that you feel safe. As you clear the space and feel yourself connect, allowing God's energy to enter in. Imagine yourself engulfed, surrounded with love, with peace, and with spirit. As if you're wrapped up in this little cocoon. It's getting a big hug. What would it be like to get a big hug from God? Feeling as you're embraced, as you're loved, as you're accepted. And knowing that you're not alone. Whatever this thing is that you've brought into this space, what you've been working on, what you've been challenged with, have you done all that you know how to do? Is there anything else that you can do? As you put out the question, notice what comes back. If there are things that do come back, feel yourself energized to get those things done. But if you're in a space where you've done all that you know how to do, feel the energy of this experience coming out of you as if it was a color or a shape, and handing it to God. Handing it to the universe to take care of the details. To let God do His part. And let it go. And for a moment, if there's any fear in that, seeing that energy in you as well, taking it out and transforming it to love, to peace. Until it feels good. Good to get it off your shoulders, to let it go, to move forward. And for a second to be excited about what it might manifest into, knowing that God is taking control. He's transforming it into something beautiful in your life. Trusting that God has a plan, much bigger than yourself. And it'll all work out. When you're ready, feeling yourself take, as if God was a person, your best friend standing next to you, taking his or her energy by the hand, and feel yourself walking forward, moving forward, coming back into this life, this physical world, knowing that you're not alone, and that you'll be guided each step of the way into what's next. Feel the love, feel the peace with each breath that you take as you reconnect, bringing spirit in the physical form even stronger than before. Knowing that you're loved and that everything is going to be okay. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Is it Tuesday yet?
As we went through the message during the week, we just noticed how many people are going through major changes the next couple of weeks, different areas of their life. And it's to know that we're not alone, that we are guided. There is a bigger plan. We just need to take our steps. What's my step to take right now? And do it. And if there is no steps, there is no more. Just trust. Trust in God that everything will be okay.